Welcome to Buddhas in Your Landfill. Let's see what little Buddha nugget we're going to find today. So in my writing this morning, I write in the morning on my meditations on Eckhart Tolle, and that usually stimulates an idea that may come into a talk. And so today, Eckhart Tolle talks a lot about the pain body. And I realized that the external world we live in, our culture, also has an induced pain body. And so I got to thinking about the Holy Church of Consumerism. Now, I love to study about culture, because culture is like the fishbowl in which we're all swimming. And the fish is not aware of how the culture shapes the water. And the water is our consciousness. So there is a collective consciousness which has layers like the Russian nesting dolls. You know, you've got your family collective, you've got your regional collective, like mine is Blackstone in Southside Virginia. Then you got your state and your national and all these different cultural Russian nesting dolls, all the way up to humanity, you see. So the culture, like the Western culture, and then the American culture, which created consumerism, is like the Holy Roman Catholic Church of the Middle Ages, which for 1,000 years shaped the consciousness of Europe and imposed upon the pagan religions of the Germanic and Celtic and Nordic, all these pagan religions were the culture of the Catholic dogma from Rome and Catholicism was superimposed upon it. And it was ruled with a iron hand. If you disagreed or doubted, you got burned at the stake. You know, that was serious. So it was an overlay that held the Middle Ages under its dome. And the primary purpose of the church and the whole civilization was to escape hell and go to heaven. The world was a 3-layer cake: hell, the earth, and heaven. And the churches were doorways to heaven. So the whole purpose, the function of the civilization, was to avoid the eternal pits of hell and achieve the pleasure and bliss of heaven. And that was the structure of it. So the Holy Church of Consumerism, I got to thinking about our culture and the consumer culture. And I've seen it come. You know, I'm 81. And I grew up in the oral tradition of radio, where you listen to radio stories. And then I remember TV coming. And I remember my first TV in 1949 at a friend's house. And it was a big old TV with a little screen. And I remember watching Howdy Doody. And I remember the first commercial. It was a kitchen cutter. It was some guy chopping up vegetables and showing you how easy your labor, how easy to be free from labor. This kitchen cutter will take all these jobs, these laborious jobs away from you and just make it so easy. So I got to thinking that that was the first commercial. And then in the 50s, TV came. And it was like instead of an altar of Jesus or Buddha or something, you had a TV set. And I remember you sit there and watch the basically is an economic system. Now, I'm not saying we should get rid of it. I mean, it works pretty good, provides all the stuff we got here, but we should become conscious of it instead of being unconscious of it. That's my point. Making the culture conscious doesn't mean you have to get rid of it. It just means you're not caught in it. You're not trapped in it, and you don't fall for its false promises. So I just drew this up here, the Holy Church of Consumerism. And so the church, if you remember, of course you don't, but everything, all of the brands that we buy today were original brands. I was just eating Cheerios. And Cheerios was one of the original cereals. And now you go to the supermarket and you got a whole canyon of cereals. But you can go back and find the original cereals, maybe Corn Flakes, Cheerios, shredded wheat, these were the original brands. And a brand is kind of like the church in that there is a basic, in the Church of Consumerism, there is a basic instilled pain or sense that you need something more. I mean, that is the underlying anxiety or discontent in the culture of consumerism, is the feeling that this is okay, but it could be a little better. This is not quite right. I need something more. There's a sense of lack. And this you can go right back to the Christian belief in the fall, that there's a sense that paradise is lost. There's a sense that we're wandering, looking for something that will complete us. Where is it, you see? This sense of incompleteness, this sense of lack, of being somewhat unworthy, of not measuring up, that no matter what you do, it could be better. Something is missing, needs a little more salt. There's a knob wrong. It's not quite square. Whatever it is. Can be, some people get really picky and whatever, but that sense of incompleteness is instilled in the Church of Consumerism by what? The commercial. So the commercial is like the and I thought of this as I was writing this up. The consumerism started with the cathedral of the department store. And I remember, perhaps some of you can remember, when, particularly if you lived in a small town and you went to the city and you went to the department store, and women dressed up. It was like going to church. It was a big day. You would go to the department store, maybe have tea, put on your church clothes. It was a cathedral where you were able to shop and come home with your sacrament. It was like a sacrifice. It was like you go to a sacrifice and the god or the bull is sacrificed and the priest cooks it and he gives you a little piece of it and you go running home with it and give it to your family because it's healing. It's pieces of God and it will heal you. So you've got your precious healing and you come home with your new product, you see. And for a while you feel healed. And we've got it now. But then the nagging comes, there's something more. Something's not satisfied yet. So these commercials start out with the department store, and then now most of us remember the department stores broke into malls, and now the malls have broken into the internet. But through it all, the commercial sacraments, as the great cathedrals broke down into smaller and smaller churches, more local. Now it's most local at all. The internet is you don't even have to go to a store. The store comes to you, you see. what comes with it is the commercial, the sacraments of the commercial. Now the commercial is what I wrote here was, and if you watch Mad Men, that really maps it out. That really makes a hole in one in understanding what a commercial is, how it works. See, a commercial is alchemy, in that the commercial fuses the new product. Expo. You really need this expo, because have you ever tried to get your whiteboard clean and notice that it's always a little that something is lacking, something is missing? Expo will heal your soul. Expo will remove all of the stains, all of the black marks from your life. Expo will restore you to your original purity. Expo will take you back to the Garden of Eden. Expo is the lost entrance to paradise. Expo will get you through the fiery cherubims and back to harmony with God, where you will no longer feel any need for another cleaner. Expo. Now what Expo does is take the pain that has been instilled in you, that something is needed, and combine it with the product that will heal the pain, and puts it together in a commercial, which are fun to watch. They're entertaining, you see. But it connects you emotionally with the product, you see. So now the commercial has fused my pain with the product, and now that's a promise. If I get that product, I will be healed of my pain. That's alchemy. It takes the base metal of pain, and it creates the metaphor. The commercial holds the two opposites together. My pain, this product, formless. Pain is formless. You can't see it. But the product is form. So it fuses the formless, my pain, with this form, you see, and creates a promise. Now I want that product. Unconsciously, I go to the store and I'll just pick it. Oh, I could use some of that, you see, instead of that other inferior stuff, you see. So it's really alchemy. It's really magic. The Holy Church of Consumerism is now spreading over the world, you see. And China, everybody, all of these pagans, all of these pagan religions are becoming consumer religions. And these brands, you see, are now global churches, spreading their sacraments throughout the planet, you see. This is what is, but we need to be conscious of it. We need to be awakened to the shape of the water. We need to be, remember that movie? See that movie. Remember to awaken to the shape of our minds. What's shaping my mind? If I don't see what's shaping my mind, I'm unconscious. I'm just a blind consumer of whatever culture gives me. Political, somebody gives me a Trump, I'll eat that. Anything with a promise to heal my pain. And where did that pain come from? From the culture. Thanks for dropping in.